Imagine waking up one day and realizing no one's coming, no backup, no cheering crowd, no helping hand to carry your dream forward, just silence. You look around and all the people you thought would support you aren't there. That's when it hits you. Your dream is yours alone, and if you don't fight for it, no one else will. Most people don't understand this until it's too late. They wait for permission, for perfect timing, for applause, for support. But reality, it doesn't work like that. The world doesn't hand out dreams. It demands proof that you're willing to bleed for them. This video isn't like the others. We're not going to give you shallow motivation or flashy quotes. We're going to reveal why some people with less talent, fewer connections, no spotlight, still win. Why? Because they understood one brutal truth: no one is obligated to care about your dream but you. Stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear will challenge the way you've looked at your life goals, your future, and your own limits. You'll learn how to keep going when everything screams at you to stop, how to persist in silence, how to believe in your vision when nobody else even sees it, and most importantly, how to build an unstoppable inner world that doesn't rely on applause to move forward. Let's begin with a fact most people overlook. The most successful people in history weren't surrounded by fans when they started. They were surrounded by doubt, rejection letters, quiet rooms, empty bank accounts. Nikola Tesla, mocked, broke, alone. J.K. Rowling, rejected 12 times. Van Gogh, sold only one painting in his lifetime. And yet they didn't stop. Why? Because they knew if they didn't fight for their dream, no one would. That knowledge can feel like a burden, but it's also your superpower. When you stop expecting others to push you, you become powerful. When you stop begging for belief, you start building resilience. You stop asking the world to notice you, and you start noticing yourself. But here's the twist. People will eventually notice. They always do. They just notice after you've already paid the price. After you've put in the lonely hours. After you've failed publicly. After you've lost and kept going anyway. That's when the applause comes. After the pain. So if you're waiting for encouragement, you're doing it backward. Encouragement comes after results, not before. And let's face it, we live in a world that rewards noise. Social media makes it look like everyone is making it overnight. But what you don't see are the sleepless nights, the failures, the anxiety, the years of being ignored. People only show the highlight reel, never the raw footage. So don't fall for the illusion. Behind every overnight success is a decade of silent grinding. Now let's add another layer. Your dream might not just be ignored, it might be actively dismissed. Your friends might laugh at it, your family might worry about it, society might try to fit you into a box that feels too small. And here's where most people fold. They take the safer path. They silence their ambition. They trade authenticity for approval. But here's what you need to know. No one can see your vision the way you do, and that's not their fault. It's your responsibility. You were given this dream, this idea, this obsession for a reason. It lives in you. It keeps you awake at night for you. It doesn't have to make sense to them. It only has to matter to you. So how do you stay the course when you're walking alone? You train yourself to listen to the inner voice louder than the outer noise. You build small wins daily. You remind yourself, this matters to me. That's enough. You keep showing up, even when the results are invisible. Especially then, because that's the test. Can you keep walking when the lights are off? This isn't just about success. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't break under pressure, who doesn't quit when ignored, who doesn't need validation to move. That kind of strength isn't just rare, it's dangerous. Because once you've trained yourself to keep moving in silence, there's nothing left to fear. Let's also talk about something rarely mentioned. Some people will try to hijack your dream. They'll see your passion and try to redirect it toward their agenda. If you're not rooted in your own why, you'll be swayed. You'll end up chasing someone else's version of success and wonder why you feel empty. That's why it's crucial to anchor yourself. Write your mission, speak it aloud, burn it into your bones. Because when you truly own your dream, when you stop waiting and start acting, everything shifts. Doors open, people start listening, opportunities start finding you, but only after you've proven you don't need them. This is the harsh truth no one tells you. The world gives you nothing until you demand it, until you earn it. And you don't earn it by shouting louder. You earn it by showing up every day when no one's watching. By the end of this video, you'll understand that the silence surrounding your dream isn't rejection. It's space, space for you to grow, space for you to build something real, space for you to become undeniable. You'll learn how to use solitude as fuel, pain as clarity, and rejection as redirection. You'll discover that the loneliness of chasing a dream isn't a punishment, it's preparation. It's the forge that shapes you into someone unstoppable. So if you're ready to fight, not just wish, not just hope, but fight for your dream like no one else will, you're in the right place. Welcome to Noam Chomsky Motivation, where we don't chase empty hype, we speak truth that hurts first, then heals. Hit that subscribe button and join us as we unpack the deep truths most people avoid. Because around here, we don't wait for rescue. We become our own rescue. Before we talk about the fight itself, let's be honest about what you're really up against. Dreaming sounds easy. It feels good to picture the future, to imagine success, to visualize everything working out. But dreaming isn't the same as doing, and that difference, that tiny invisible gap, is where most people give up. People say, follow your dreams like it's a one-step process. But they don't talk about the nights you can't sleep because everything feels like it's falling apart. They don't mention the feeling of showing up every day, working hard, and seeing zero results. They don't prepare you for the confusion, the second guessing, the long periods of silence when it seems like no one even notices what you're building. Dreaming is romantic. The struggle is not. But here's the truth. Real change doesn't start in the dream. It starts in the discomfort, the doubt, the pain. It begins in the moment when things stop being exciting and start being real. You might have this beautiful vision in your mind. Maybe you see yourself starting a business, writing a book, launching a new career, or changing your life completely. That's the easy part, seeing it, feeling inspired, telling a few people about it, posting a quote online. But what happens when the reality hits? When the first challenge slams you? When no one shows up to support you? When you're met with silence, criticism, or worse, indifference? That's when the work begins. That's when the battle really starts. And most people don't make it past this point. Not because they're weak, not because they're lazy, but because they didn't expect it to hurt this much. They weren't prepared for the emotional toll. They weren't warned about the fear, the isolation, or the internal war between who they are now and who they're trying to become. Let's say it clearly, it hurts to grow. It hurts to change. It hurts to chase a dream in a world that constantly tries to pull you back into comfort, distraction, and mediocrity. But the pain is not punishment. It's proof that you're doing something real, that you're moving against gravity, that you're no longer stuck. If you feel stretched, exhausted, or even lost, that's not failure. That's the cost of evolution. And if you keep going through that, if you don't run from it, you come out stronger, sharper, clearer, more capable than ever before. Before we talk about action steps, let's also talk about something most people ignore: acceptance. The uncomfortable truth that no one, not your best friend, not your parents, not your mentor, will fight for your dream the way you will. And if you don't fully accept that, you will constantly feel disappointed. Yes, some people might support you, they might encourage you, they might say the right things. But at the end of the day, it's your vision, your mission, your responsibility. This isn't about being bitter, it's about being free. When you stop waiting for someone else to believe in you, you start building real momentum. You take back your power, because every time you look around hoping someone will push you forward, and they don't, you lose a little faith in yourself. Not because they meant to hurt you, but because you gave them too much responsibility over something that wasn't theirs to carry. You alone carry your dream. That doesn't make you alone. It makes you the leader. Others can cheer. Others can watch. Others can even help along the way. But the core engine, the heartbeat of the dream, must come from you. You decide if today is a work day or a wasted one. You decide if this obstacle ends the story or fuels the comeback. You decide if the doubt wins or if the vision grows stronger. Look around. Most people are stuck not because they lack a dream, but because they expect someone else to help carry it. And when that help doesn't come, they stop. They turn around. They tell themselves it wasn't meant to be, that the timing was wrong, that they weren't ready, but none of that is true. The only thing missing was ownership. The moment you own your dream completely is the moment you begin to separate yourself from the crowd, because the crowd is waiting, watching, hoping, wishing, but not moving. You're building quietly, slowly, day by day.
And maybe no one sees you right now. Maybe no one understands what you're trying to do. Maybe they laugh at your efforts. That's okay. They're not supposed to get it. It's not their dream. It's yours.
The path you're on is narrow. It's quiet. It's often thankless. But that's what makes it powerful. That's what builds something real. You're not chasing applause. You're chasing purpose. You're not building for followers. You're building for freedom. And that freedom isn't just external. It's internal. It's the freedom to wake up every day knowing you're doing something that matters to you, that you're not waiting anymore, that you're not stuck in someone else's version of life, that you've stopped begging and started becoming. That's why this matters. That's why the fight is worth it. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Every late night, every early morning, every setback, every lonely moment, it all belongs to you. And every step forward, no matter how small, is you choosing to show up for yourself. No one else can do that for you. No one else should do that for you. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because now you stop expecting the world to carry your dream. You start carrying it like it's oxygen, like it's survival, like it's the one thing that gives your life direction and depth and fire. And when you carry something like that, something with your whole heart, people feel it, maybe not at first, maybe not loudly, but over time they'll notice, not because you demanded it, but because you became undeniable. This is the shift, from waiting to working, from hoping to deciding, from dreaming to doing. And no, it's not glamorous. It's not exciting every day, but it's real. And real things grow slowly, but they grow deep. So the question isn't who's going to fight with me, The question is, am I ready to fight without them? And if the answer is yes, if you're ready to walk this path with or without support, then you're already ahead, because most people never get past the dreaming stage. Most people never accept that the first and last push must come from within, but you do, and that changes everything. When we talk about skills or intelligence or opportunity, we need to talk about hunger, because hunger is what actually moves people, not talent, not luck, not education. Hunger. The truth is, people often confuse being good at something with being driven, but they're not the same. You can be average and still win if you're hungry enough. You can lack resources, lack connections, and still build something massive if you're hungry enough. Hunger means you wake up every day with a reason. A fire, something inside you that refuses to stay quiet. It pushes you when you're tired. It gets you out of bed when you don't feel like it. It keeps your eyes open late into the night because you can't stop thinking about your mission. This isn't the kind of hunger that fades after one motivational video. It's not inspiration. It's deeper. It's something you feel in your gut, a need to prove something, not to the world, but to yourself. And hunger is personal. What drives one person won't drive another. For some, it's escaping poverty. For others, it's rewriting their family story. For some, it's proving a teacher or critic wrong. And for others, it's building a life where they don't feel like they're just surviving every day. So ask yourself, what makes you hungry? Not what looks good on paper, not what sounds cool online. What wakes you up at 4 a.m. without an alarm? What thought won't leave your mind? What would you still chase even if no one ever saw it? That's where your fuel is. Once you know what that is, you use it. Every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like doing anything. That's when it matters most. Because talent shows up when it wants to. Hunger shows up even when it doesn't want to. You can build this hunger like a habit. Start with simple daily examples. Wake up and make a list of what matters most. Don't touch your phone until you've reviewed your mission. Write your goal on paper. Tape it to the wall. Remind yourself every morning why you started. When your mind says, just skip today, hunger answers. Not an option. When you feel distracted or discouraged, hunger snaps you back to focus. It doesn't care about your mood. It cares about your mission. And you don't need huge actions to stay hungry. Sometimes it's something as small as choosing to walk instead of scroll, choosing to write one paragraph, choosing to study for 10 more minutes. These things compound. They build internal discipline. They train your mind to serve the mission, not your feelings. But even hunger meets resistance. And that resistance almost always shows up as fear. Before we move forward, let's look directly at fear. Most people try to avoid it. They run from it. They wait until it goes away. But fear doesn't disappear. It waits. It hides. And if you don't face it head on, it controls you from the shadows. Fear isn't real in the way people think it is. It feels physical. It makes your chest tighten, your thoughts race, your energy drop. But most of the time, it's not danger. It's a trick, a projection, a lie your mind tells to keep you safe, even when there's nothing to run from. That's why the acronym works so well. False expectations appearing real. You expect something bad to happen. You expect to fail. You expect to be embarrassed, judged, hurt, abandoned. So you freeze. But none of those things are actually happening. They're just thoughts. And thoughts only have power if you believe them. So how do you deal with fear? You step into it, slowly. intentionally, daily. If you fear public speaking, speak up once in a small group. If you fear rejection, apply to something where you might be told no. If you fear starting, just start. Not because you're fearless, but because you refuse to let fear decide who you become. Each time you walk through fear, your mind adjusts. It starts to see that most of the monsters are fake. Most of the pain you imagined doesn't happen. And even when you do fail, you survive. You learn. You grow. One small act of courage builds another. One confrontation with fear makes the next one easier. You don't need to destroy fear to move forward. You just need to stop obeying it. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the face of it. And here's something most people don't realize: fear and hunger live in the same place. The same energy that creates fear can fuel hunger. The fear of staying the same. The fear of wasting your life. The fear of looking back with regret. That kind of fear. You use it. You let it light a fire in you. You let it remind you that the cost of inaction is far worse than the risk of failure. People often think they need confidence to begin, but confidence is a result, not a requirement. Action comes first. Fear doesn't go away before you start. It weakens because you start. So when fear whispers, you respond with movement. You write the email, you make the call, you post the project, you take the first step, shaking, nervous, unsure, and then you take another and another. Hunger keeps you going. Fear tries to stop you. Your job is to listen to the one that builds you, not the one that breaks you. If you want to become something extraordinary, you have to be willing to feel uncomfortable every single day. Because every dream worth chasing comes with resistance, and the only way through it is through it. Build the habit of hunger. Face the fear. Not once, not occasionally, but daily, because consistency is where power lives. And remember, every person you admire, every voice you respect, every name you know, at some point, they faced the exact same fears. They had moments of doubt, insecurity, panic. The only difference, they didn't stop. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move. So take the next step. However small, however shaky, do it not because you're ready, but because you're hungry. And when fear shows up again tomorrow, because it will, you already know what to do. Look it in the eye, thank it for showing up, and walk straight through it. That's how you build yourself, one bold step at a time. Hardship isn't a detour, it's the path. Growth doesn't happen in the easy seasons. It happens in pressure, in resistance, in discomfort. And while that truth stings, it also sets you free. Because once you understand that pain fuels growth, you stop avoiding it, you stop fearing it, you start using it. Think about climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner, your legs burn, your hands bleed from gripping the sharp rock, but every step forward takes you higher. The pain in your muscles becomes the price of altitude. You don't get to the top without earning it in sweat, in struggle, in silence. It's the same with any dream worth chasing. You'll be bruised. You'll be doubted. You'll face things you never expected. But every scar becomes a story. Every moment of despair becomes a lesson. You grow in ways you never could if life had stayed easy. And sometimes, it's not about massive leaps. It's about small wins. The kind you earn while you're still hurting. Showing up when your motivation's gone. Writing one more paragraph when the last 10 felt pointless. Practicing the piano again after a week of nothing sounding right. These moments look tiny, but they compound. They stack, they shape you. Pain humbles you, but it also makes you sharp. It teaches you what matters. It strips away the noise and leaves only the truth. Do you want this badly enough to struggle for it? If the answer is yes, then learn to welcome the discomfort. Let it stretch you. Let it challenge your limits. Let it teach you things about yourself that comfort never could. Because pain is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Loving the end result is easy. Anyone can do that. But the real ones, they love the process. They fall in love with the journey. The late nights, the lonely mornings, the boring middle part where nothing seems to move. Because that's where everything actually happens. That's where skill is built, where identity is forged, where the dream becomes real. A writer doesn't just love publishing a book. They learn to love rewriting the same page 5 times. A musician doesn't just love applause. They learn to love the quiet practice sessions when no one is listening. A runner doesn't just love the medal. They fall in love with the sound of their breath, the rhythm of their feet, the ache in their legs. This is what separates the short-term thrill seekers from the long-haul warriors, the people who only want the glory quit when things get hard, but the ones who love the work, they keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it's theirs. When you learn to enjoy the steps, the hard ones, the boring ones, the quiet ones, you start to build something permanent. You no longer chase validation. You chase mastery. You chase truth. You chase the satisfaction of knowing you did the work whether anyone saw it or not. That's why you can't wait for results to love the process. You won't always win. You won't always be recognized. But you can always control how deeply you engage with the craft. Fall in love with the doing, not just the done. The glue that holds this whole thing together is persistence. Not talent, not genius, not background, just relentless, daily, uncomfortable persistence. Every dream you've ever admired was built by someone who refused to quit. Someone who stayed up late, got up early, kept going when it made no sense. They failed. They got rejected. They were laughed at. But they didn't stop. It wasn't magic. It was stubbornness. It was choosing to show up again and again, even after nothing seemed to change. It was trusting that small efforts, repeated daily, would build something massive over time. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to outlast everyone who gave. Because most people quit before the breakthrough. They give up right before the shift happens, right before the audience shows up, right before the opportunity lands. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they stopped believing it was possible. If you want this dream, develop a do-or-die mindset. That doesn't mean you never rest. It means you never quit. It means no excuse gets to become your identity. It means discipline replaces drama, action replaces excuses. Persistence isn't loud. It's not flashy. It looks like showing up every day, even when no one claps, even when it feels like nothing is working, even when you're tired of starting over. But that daily effort, that's where your power lives. That's where your breakthrough begins. You don't just build success. You become someone who can't be stopped. So, make it boring. Make it consistent. Make it part of who you are. Because when discipline becomes your identity, you stop needing motivation to move. Stack your days, brick by brick. Fail forward. Adjust when needed, but never turn around. Keep pushing. Keep building. Keep bleeding on the mountain. Because every drop of effort is shaping your legacy, even when no one sees it yet. This is how you win. Not with ease, not with luck, but with grit, hunger, focus, persistence, and the quiet decision to never stop showing up. Not everyone will understand your dream. That's something you must accept early, or it will eat you alive. People will laugh. People will doubt. People will question your choices, not because they know better, but because they can't imagine doing what you're doing. Most people aren't chasing anything, so your pursuit threatens them. You have to learn to silence the noise, the outside voices, the doubters, the critics, the ones who mean well but discourage you anyway. Not every voice deserves space in your head. Not every opinion deserves to be carried like truth. Critics will come. It's part of the path. Especially if you're doing something bold. The more you move, the more noise you'll attract. People will tell you it's too late, too risky, too different, that you're not smart enough, not connected enough, not talented enough. And here's the truth. Their words say more about them than about you. They might be projecting their own fears, their own regrets, their own failures. People who gave up on their own dreams will always find a reason to tell you not to chase yours. That's why you must learn how to mentally exclude them, not hate them, not argue with them. Just choose not to carry their doubt as your truth. Create your own inner circle. People who believe in you, challenge you, and remind you who you are when things get loud. It doesn't have to be big. Even one or two people who truly understand your vision can make the difference between giving up and pushing through. But even your inner circle should be chosen carefully. Protect your mind. Protect your energy. If someone always brings negativity, excuses, or distraction, distance yourself. Your dream is too important to be smothered by someone else's comfort zone. Limit outside opinions, especially when you're in the building phase. Share less. Do more. Let your results speak instead of explanations. Don't invite feedback from people who've never built what you're building. If they haven't walked the road, their map is useless. Build a mental fortress. Train your focus to stay internal. What do you believe? What does your gut say? Because in the end, no one else is responsible for your life. No one else will feel your regret. No one else will walk in your shoes. So live according to your own vision, not their version. Clarity is quiet, growth is private, and your dream deserves the silence it needs to rise. Once the noise is quieted, it's time to map it out. A dream without a plan is just a wish. If you want to build something real, you need to set goals, not just big ones, daily ones, step-by-step ones, tangible, trackable, adjustable goals that guide you through the fog. Start with the big vision, then break it down. What does success look like? A year from now? 6 months? This week? Today? What's the smallest possible action you can take right now that moves you an inch closer? Visualize your steps. Write them down. Don't leave your dream floating in your head. Turn it into a path. When you write your goals, they stop being dreams and start becoming decisions. When you track them, they stop being ideas and start becoming proof. Planning is power. Not because everything will go exactly as expected, but because having a plan gives you control. It gives you direction when you feel lost. It gives you a reason to keep going when emotions try to pull you off course. And it's not a one-time event. You set goals, you act, you adjust, you repeat. You don't wait until everything's perfect. You start, you test, and you tweak. That's how real builders operate. They don't chase perfection, they chase momentum. Expect obstacles. Expect pivots. Sometimes the plan fails, but the mission stays. You simply find a new way forward. That's how growth happens. Not by getting everything right, but by never stopping when things go wrong. Track your progress. Celebrate small wins. That part matters. Too many people only celebrate at the finish line. But progress is slow, and your brain needs encouragement along the way. Did you show up today? Did you complete one tiny task? Did you move forward even an inch? Celebrate it, not with noise or ego, but with a quiet, grounded sense of pride. You kept your word to yourself. That matters. Every little win becomes proof that you're capable, that you're committed, that you're building momentum. These small victories stack up. They fuel confidence. They teach your brain. This is who I am now. I follow through. When the journey gets tough, and it will, you'll have a trail of evidence behind you. Days you showed up, steps you took, goals you hit, and that's what pulls you through the valleys. Not hype, not hope, but history. You don't build a legacy with one giant leap. You build it one mapped out step at a time, quiet, consistent, focused. So, cut out the noise, tighten your circle, create your path, and take the next step today.